it comes to the Public Accounts Committee, that's just one of the mechanisms for holding the government to account. There's a lot of other ways, right? There's also the pre-budgetary scrutiny, that is looking at the budget before it's been passed. For example, looking at particular lines in the estimates and saying, why are you asking for a 10% increase in your budget from last year? What do you need the money for? So being able to better understand what the purpose of the budget is before it's being passed, I would say that's definitely an important one.
We felt that there was a need to be able to intervene in the budgetary process in real time as the budget is being expended. And that's what the work of the PAAC is, Administration and Appropriations. We are able to look at the accounts of any ministry, department or agency and bring them to the Parliament and question them. How is the expenditure going? Are you on target? Are you achieving the targets that you have set out? Your quarterly targets, your half-yearly targets, your monthly targets, how are you doing?
But it's not just the financing, it's the way they go about it, the appropriation side of it. We have to also make sure that the various government agencies are following the correct procedure. While we do not speak to policy, we want to make sure the actual management of the expenditure and the expenditures itself is being adhered to.
We are able to summon particular agencies to discuss those issues and to air them, for public hearing and to make recommendations to the Parliament for corrective action. Those recommendations, similar, we do it at the PAC, and we are also making recommendations at the level of the PAAC.
You should have the right to call back the ministry or the government entity to actually say, well, you haven't agreed with this recommendation or you have agreed, but to do some kind of follow-up as well. And this is where committees are often quite weak, and that firstly, it's sometimes a challenge to get responses from the government on ministries in time, but secondly, even if they do, where's the follow-up?
This actually is quite a serious issue. So I want to ask, are there any specific obstacles preventing you from presenting these audited statements, these accounts, I'm sorry?
Thank you for that question. It is the challenges that is faced with respect to having these audited statements involve the verification of actual assets within the authority.
And committees need to really introduce a mechanism where they revisit committee reports to actually see what's the outcomes of this process, what has scrutiny meant in practice. And those committees that have tried to experiment with issues such as, for example, United Kingdom, the Public Accounts Committee now looks at committee reports at random. So once a committee report has finished, they will go back and select some reports at random and revisit them and say, well, what's the result of this? And call back the entities in and say, did you do what you promised 6 months or 1 month ago?
It is part of saying to the public, yes, we have approved this expenditure, but we are also interested as a Parliament to monitor to make sure that the money is spent correctly and most efficiently. So and of course our PAAC is covered also by the media, so it gives the public a sense of assurance that yes, our Parliament is monitoring how their tax dollars is being spent.